If you actively farm cropland, working to enhance wildlife is probably something you already do. In this video, we discuss the features of an ideal cropland habitat, a few tips on how to enhance your cropland for wildlife, and what wildlife you may find responding to changes in habitat. You may see that some of these actions make economic sense too. In southeastern agricultural settings, you typically see open spaces occupied by cropland or pasture, and these are often bordered by blocks of forest land or wet areas that are not really suitable for production. Making a few changes in your fields to accommodate wildlife can dramatically increase both the variety and amount of wildlife that you can attract. First things first, you'll need to evaluate your field for wildlife habitat by gathering some basic information. This will allow you to pinpoint the specific types of wildlife you can accommodate. First, what kinds of crops are you growing? Many crops like corn, sorghum, millet, and small grains provide waste grain for wildlife after they're harvested. If you no-till or strip-till your land, surface residue on your field provides opportunities for invertebrates to feed and hide, which in turn attracts groundbirds and songbirds. In terms of escape opportunities for wildlife, you'll want to look at the distance from the center of your field to undisturbed grassy and herbaceous areas of natural vegetation, like ditch lines or center pivot corners. You'll also want to consider the distance from the center of your field to permanent woody cover, like forest land of 10 acres or more. Finally, field borders 25 feet or wider provide foraging, nesting, and escape opportunities for a variety of wildlife. What are some simple things that you can do to enhance wildlife habitat on your cropland? Let's start with field edges. Research shows that these areas are less productive, especially when they're close to woody vegetation. Tree roots take up moisture and nutrients from the crop, and places that are shaded for longer portions of the day often have significantly lower yields than the rest of the field. You may want to consider a field border, where you allow native grasses and forbs to grow. This provides wildlife opportunities, but will also save you money in terms of crop inputs. You may want to speak to your local NRCS office about whether taking the field edge out of production would qualify for any program that provides rental income. Certain species like quail avoid abrupt and straight edges because they experience high rates of predation. So it's a good idea to soften your edges with field borders. Your center pivot corners also provide opportunities for wildlife. You can manage them for naturally regenerating plants and native herbaceous plants to provide additional habitat structure to your land. In other parts of your land where you can't produce a crop, consider some of these features. Try allowing vegetation to grow in your drainage ditches in the summer nesting season, and even leaving it in the winter so that migrating birds can take advantage of the cover. You can then clean the ditches up just before planting time and before the nesting season begins. As you change your fields and provide variation in habitat structure to accommodate wildlife, be on the lookout for species like turkey, quail, and mourning dove, and for songbirds like the common yellowthroat and sparrow. Increased bird and cottontail rabbit populations may also attract raptors like the northern harrier and the barn owl. Of course, depending on your wildlife and production goals, abundant white-tailed deer may not always be welcome in your croplands. Up next, we'll discuss managing old fields for wildlife.